Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel once again. And this is the sixth video in the Chainlit tutorial series, and I'm really sorry for being very late with this video. I was really busy with a lot of work and really couldn't find any time to make this tutorial or to record any more videos for this. And well, my main motivation for making this tutorial series in the first place was because I was using Chainlit as a front-end tool for one of my projects because I needed a front end, and I didn't want it to learn any special front-end framework for that. I just simply wanted to use some inbuilt, already available Python toolkit, and so that's why I switched to I explored Chainlit, and I realized that a lot of things in Chainlit are really helpful, but there are not many in-depth tutorial and examples available online. There are a lot of videos out there where you can on Chainlit where you can create your first UI, immediately load up, but there are not many where you can tweak a few things. For example, the logo and the name, and adding a persistent chat history. Especially the persistent chat history part was very difficult to implement, and almost there was no help online present for it anywhere, not even in their official documentation, not even any tutorial on YouTube. So I simply had to learn all of it by myself. Plus, you have to create a database for it, and the database you need to create tables in it. All the columns and rows in the table need to be exactly accurately as to how Chainlit requires. So it was a lot of pain to make it, and that's why I thought, if I'm struggling this much, I want to help everyone else out in the community, so that people would have something to look for or look at if you guys are using Chainlit in your application. So I hope that this series has been working really great for you all. So in this video, I'm bringing another new addition to this our Chainlit tutorial app. In our local LM application, and that is the ability to read files. Now, let me show you what it's gonna look like. So suppose I upload a file like this, a random text file, and if I ask, hey, can you help me with this? And it's going to show you a UI element, in the front end. It's going to show you using reading documents, just like how we see in ChatGPT. As you upload the file, it's going to create a step where the file will be read and its content will be fed into the LLM for it to be able to help us or to help the user with its query. Now, it was able to read my document as it is, accurately talking about the clustering and classification, because this document, this text file that I've uploaded, it is related to just an AI/ML project, and it contains the criteria for completing or working with that AI/ML project, or how to finish it up. So I'm just uploading it, and it was able to understand that it's related to clustering or classification, and it's just asking me what else do you need with it. Sometimes it gives you a very thorough, intricate, all of the details of what it is and how it can help you. Sometimes it just simply asks you more, hey, how would you like the help when in the project, etc. But it was able to read the file, and that's the most important part. Anyway, so let me show you the code. Now, in this video, I'm not gonna write all the code, but I'm simply going to explain to you what you need to do. And don't worry, I'm gonna give you this code. I've already given the code of the previous tutorials, and I'm just gonna update it over there in GitHub repo, and I'm gonna give you the link of the repo in the comment section, and along with this new updated code. So basically, the first thing we're gonna be doing is to create a function that can read our documents. So this is just gonna be a simple Python function. You know how we can read different types of documents in Python. If if you want to read, like if you want to open and read PDFs or docx or txt files, there are numerous different types of file formats that you can read in using PDF and extract the text. So I'm using a couple of libraries as well. So first thing is for PDF. So this in this function receives documents, list of files, or a list of file objects from Chainlit as you upload the files. And this this is a list of those file objects. So since this is a list, we're going to be looping through each and every document in it, and we're going to be checking if it ends with a certain file format that we're looking for example, PDF, docx, or txt, and we're going to be opening each one of those individually depending on their extension type. So since this is a file object of Chainlit, the way you extract the path from it is like this, document.path, and the way you extract name from it is document.name. And here I'm simply creating an overall text empty string in which I'm opening each and every file's text individually, and I'm adding into that a single text string. So if it is a PDF, I'm opening it up with fits. This is a library called PyMuPDF. For opening PDFs, I'm going to list down all the required libraries. We only need 2 here in the description, and you can install those libraries for yourself. So the first library for PDF I'm using is fits. There are a couple of many more you can use. So I'm just simply opening the pages and getting the text on the pages and simply appending it into the text string along with the file name itself, which I'm getting through document.name. The next thing is, if it is docx, I'm opening it with another library, and I'm simply adding its text, extracting its text, and adding it up with the main text string along with its file name. And the same thing we're doing with text, we're simply opening it with the Python's file opener. Now, we are opening all of the uploaded files here one by one and appending it into a single large string. Now, this is not really how you're supposed to open files and give it to the LLMs. If it's a very small file, it doesn't really matter. But for a real world use case, a real world application where suppose you're creating a document reader or a PDF chat with PDF type of application, you don't really give the entire text of the PDF to the model. There are a lot of pre-processing, cleaning you have to do, and there's also other RAG strategies you have to employ. For example, storing the files into converting them into embeddings and storing them into a vector database and extracting the relevant embeddings from there using the cosine similarity, etc. It's the entire different paradigm that you have to understand and know, and you need to learn of how to use efficiently data ingestion, external data ingestion into the prompt or into the context and into the conversation to make the LLM answer the user's query depending on the uploaded data or depending on the external data. So that's what we're going to be doing. That's what you need to do from your end. This video is not about that. This video is simply about how you can simply expose the Chainlit's UI element, or how to use Chainlit for uploading documents, and how you can show it on the screen. So this is our main document reader function, and the next main thing is inside of our other function, inside of our onMessage function, which is our most important function for getting the messages from the screen and displaying the messages on the screen and processing all the messages for the LLMs. So this function, as we have created it the last time, we are going to get all the files from the message.elements like this. We are looping through it and storing it into a list. And if files exist, now this could be empty. If there are no files uploaded, then this will turn empty. So if there are files, then we are going to use a step class for rendering this this step. this reading document step in the front end. Now in Chainlit, if you want to do some tool calling, function calling, etc., you use step function. And there are two different ways of using it. One is the class way. This is the class way. I'm using it as an object. And there is another one is using it as a decorator function, just like how we used chainless decorator on other functions. So I'm using it through like this. I'm simply opening it with asynchronous in an asynchronous fashion and creating an object of it. And when I do await reading documents.send, it's going to send this name that we have given to this step into the front end. It's going to render it, and it's going to keep it there until this whole step ends or closes. So I'm creating a new event loop in which I'm opening our main document reading function. Now the reason why I'm doing this is because sometimes if your file is very big, right? If your file is too big and if it takes a long time for it to pre-process, suppose you're doing a lot of other things. Suppose you have images in your files and you have tons of data in your file. You're pre-processing all of them, cleaning all of them, maybe running more LLMs on it, doing a whole sort of pre-processing in the backend. And if it's taking a long time, it happens quite instantaneously in a split second in ChatGPT, but it's not gonna be the same. If you were to replicate what ChatGPT does, what OpenAI does with ChatGPT in the backend, if you really manage to replicate all of that, it's gonna take you tons of time to do it because of lack of infrastructure. They got a lot of infrastructure. They can do a lot of things in parallel, but we can't do that. So if you're not doing it, it will take a long time for the files to pre-process. And if it will take that long time, what's going to happen is that the backend is still working. But since nothing is being sent into the front end ends up disconnecting. So after I've used it for my use case and I've seen it happening that if I'm doing a lot of pre-processing, the backend, the front end gets disconnected, and if I'm not sending anything in the front end, it gets disconnected over time. So if it takes more than like 5-6 minutes, it gets disconnected. So that's why I'm running this step in an asynchronously, even though it's already running asynchronously. But still, I am running our reading document function separately as another asynchronous event. And so once we receive our documents data, this contains all of the files opened up in a single string along with their names. We need to have a way to tell the model that the files have been loaded. How are we going to do that? We're simply going to give model a prompt that the user has uploaded the following files, where we're going to give it the name of the files along with its content, and we tell it that assists them in their queries if it's related to the uploaded files, right? So this is a prompt we have structured. Now, once again, I'm telling you, this is not the most efficient way of doing this. I'm simply showing you the functionality of the UI element, and it got nothing to do with how you should adopt this into your workspace, because this is not the most efficient way how companies do or production applications do. So after this, we're going to pass it into our entire message conversation history, or chat history or conversation stream, or into our context as a system prompt, right? So we're telling the model through a system prompt that the user has uploaded a certain number of files. Help them with it if they need be. Now, then comes our user message. So basically, as we upload the file, then comes our user message. So this needs to be somehow, it's usually oftentimes is related to the files that we have uploaded, right? So this is our user message. So after the system message, which if the files are present, then the system message will be read, and the system message will be updated or given to the model, telling it that there are some files that the user has uploaded. Help them with those things. And then comes the user message, which is the user is simply going to ask. You could also give the content of the file directly into the user message. Sometimes it works better that way than giving it a separate system message, because it doesn't always follow, especially right now I'm using a very small model, so this will hallucinate and will not really follow instructions very well. So don't depend on this model. Your model might do it, but this is once again not a functionality of the reading document. This is more about the functionality of the UI itself. So we're not going to explore too much into it. So for now, we append the user message into our chat history as well. And then the rest of the code is exactly the same as how it was before, right? We just have generation of we're just using Olama model, and we're generating the stream of tokens through it, and we're just streaming it into the front end. That's it, right? Now, I have added time.sleep here. I know you guys are going to copy this code for yourself. You don't need to use this time.sleep. You can remove it. The reason why I'm using it is because if right now all the files that I'm uploading are very small, so Python is able to read them in a fraction of seconds, and so you won't be able to see this UI in the front end. If I won't do time.sleep here, you will not be able to see it. So how would I, give you an example? That's why I've added time.sleep. You can remove it safely, and this way you will not be able to notice the element present there in the first place. And so you can add this just for the user interfaces, enhancing the user interface experience. Nothing much. All right. So one very last thing is, so right now, when I upload a file here, just for the sake of it, if I upload a simple file here and ask it, hey, it says using reading documents. In the UI, it prints using reading documents, even though my name of the step is reading documents. So this is one of the things in Chainlit that you cannot really change, right? So by default, Chainlit will print using and used for the steps. Once the step is over, it's going to show you used, and once the step is in progress, it's going to show you using. Now I can show it to you by simply removing this await reading documents.remove. Okay? And let me show you what happens if I don't use time.sleep. Okay. I think I might need to rerun this code again. Let me do that. I haven't run chainlit.app this app in a watch mode. I should do that, but whatever. Let's do it. All right. So let me show you. Once I upload a file like this and say hello, it instantaneously, as you can see, it instantaneously went from using reading documents to used reading documents. And it switched from using to used pretty quickly. You couldn't even see it, but you could see it previously because I just commented time.sleep. So that's why I added time.sleep, that if your documents are being processed like at a lightning speed, you'll not be able to see this UI element in the front end. So if you want to see it, you will need to make some workaround like I did. However, as you can see, that it's printing used reading documents, which we don't want, right? And yeah, once again, I was using await reading documents.remove. So if you want to remove the steps, the steps rendered, the rendered UI step, you'll need to call the step.remove function, which is going to remove the steps print, or the steps rendered text that the step was used or using from the front end once it's done, once it's finished. And for reading documents, this is simply mirroring what ChatGPT does. If you ever upload files in ChatGPT, it's going to print it reading the documents, and once it's done, it is going to remove that rendered text of reading documents from the front end and will simply start helping you out or answering your query, right? That's why, to simulate that, I had simply added the removing step function. Now, how would we get rid of this? Well, it's quite simple. So what you need to do is go to the main. You'll need to go to the main folder, the main project folder of your Chainlit application, and you're going to come across two folders in it, called .chainlit and .files. Now this might not be visible to you because these two are hidden files. So if you want to see the hidden files, you got to go to the views and show and enable the hidden items option, and these two files would be visible. Folders would be visible to you. So you're gonna open the Chainlit .chainlit, go into the translations, and these are different JSON. I mean, these are the different UI texts in different languages that Chainlit is using. So just to render it, in multiple different languages. So our main language is English right now, so it's rendering from English JSON. So what we need to do is simply open this up, and it's going to open up here in the top. So you're going to scroll down a little bit, or just simply search for using. And this is the place where it prints the status of the steps or the tool call, using and use. Now this doesn't actually matter too much if your step disappears after if it's done processing or finished up with its work. But if you still want to clean it up, and if you don't really want to print any if you don't really want to show anything in the front end, extra unnecessary items, unnecessary icons, or text that you don't want, just for the sake of user experience, then you can just remove this from here. And this shows, prints. This contains all of the different types of the front end printer texts. So we're simply going to remove these two, using and used, and save the file. Save the JSON and go back to the front end, and hopefully it's gone. It's literally right in front of our eyes. It changed from used. It removed the used in the in the front end, in the user interface. And let's save this. Let's rerun our application by bringing back the await reading document to remove, and we want to sleep just like before, just to make a small delay into our front end so we can see the step in action. Let's clear up this terminal and run our application again. Okay, let me close these other tabs. So let's see what happens now. I'm gonna upload this. Can you help me with this? I don't know if how well it'll work or not work. So we can see reading documents. It's no longer printing using or used anymore, and yeah, we're pretty much done. So that's it for this video, and I hope it was fun, and I hope it was useful for you, and I hope you learned something new. I hope it could help you out in your Chainlit projects. And in the future, I'm going to in the next video, we're going to see how we can implement the thinking step. So this step disappears once it's done processing. But what if you were to print? What if you were to keep it? Now I already showed you what happens if you remove the document.remove function. The step.remove function. And the step will not get removed. The UI will stay in the front end. But what purpose? What purpose did it serve? Well, what if you wanted to print? What if you have a thinking model, and your model outputs a chain of thought, and you want to print that chain of thought in the front end separately from the final output text body of your model? So in that case, we could use this step to print just that portion and separately, and it will be persisted. It will not be removed, and you could see it. That's what we're going to be doing in our next video. So thank you very much for sticking around for this long. It took way too long for me to just explain everything. I could have just given you the code and you could just copy it, but still, I really wanted to take my time to explain you how this whole document reading even works, and this small nuances of these front-end elements of Chainlit that you can't really change programmatically. You'll need to dig into their files to edit something manually. So thank you very much for watching this video, and I'm sorry once again for taking so long for releasing a new video, and hopefully the next one would come out as soon as possible.